As you devoted listeners already know, meal prepping in the Edmondson Ames household is pure chaos, pure unfiltered chaos. But we still want to feed ourselves and our kids something protein-rich and actually good, not just whatever survived the fridge cleanout. That's why we love Omaha Steaks. Tender steaks, flavorful burgers, seafood, chicken, and sides delivered right to our door. Rushed weeknight, Saturday cookout, quality proteins already on hand. I also really love the idea of having something that's actually worth pulling out of the freezer. Knowing it's been carefully aged and individually packaged makes it feel a whole lot different than the mystery meat that's been hiding in the back of mine for 6 to 8 months. Omaha Steaks has earned its reputation over 100 years. This is the same beef trusted in kitchens across the country, shipped straight to yours. Steakhouse quality without the steakhouse prices. Your family will genuinely think dinner took hours instead of minutes. And yes, frozen delivery can actually be this good. Their meticulous aging process and vacuum-sealed individual packaging means everything arrives ready for grilling, searing, or roasting with almost no effort. No last-minute store runs, no scrambling, just quality that generations of perfecting actually shows. Try the Burger Perfection Flight at omahasteaks.com today. That's 20 premium steak burgers for just $79. That's 20 premium steak burgers for just $79.99. Plus, get $35 off with promo code CULTY. That's omahasteaks.com, promo code CULTY for $35 off at checkout. Terms apply. See site for details. Go to omahasteaks.com and use promo code CULTY at checkout for $35 off. Minimum purchase may apply.
Insurance isn't one size fits all. That's why customers have enjoyed Progressive's Name Your Price tool for years now. With the Name Your Price tool, you tell them what you want to pay, and they'll show you options that fit your budget. So whether you're picking out your first policy or just looking for something that works better for you and your family, they make it easy to see your options. Visit Progressive.com. Find a rate that works for you with the Name Your Price tool. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Price and coverage match limited by state law.
This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be considered legal, medical, or mental health advice. The views and opinions expressed do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the podcast and are not intended to malign any religion, group, club, organization, business, individual, anyone, or anything.
I'm Sarah Edmondson.
And I'm Anthony Nippy Ames, and this is A Little Bit Culty.
We woke up from a cult, and that journey was captured in The Vow on HBO and in my memoir, Scarred.
Now, in this podcast, we break down the shame and secrets that make these experiences so destructive with honest conversations on how seemingly benign groups can cross into the cultiverse and how to spot and recover from trouble if it happens to you.
Each week, we bring in experts, survivors, and whistleblowers to explore red flags, resilience, and even share a few laughs, because sometimes you gotta laugh.
Subscribe to our Patreon for early and ad-free listening, some live Q&A, and exclusive content at patreon.com/alittlebitculty.
Welcome to Season 8 of A Little Bit Culty.
Welcome back to A Little Bit Culty, everybody. I think we got a really hyped up Sarah Edmondson riding shotgun here, so brace yourselves.
Yes, I am a little excited because it's our first episode back from the summer. We actually recorded this conversation with Alicia
about a month ago
when we were in Vancouver. Now we are officially back in the ATL. Summer's over, in our schedule, not in reality. It's hot as balls out there right now, but
hot as balls. Okay,
I don't know.
I'll let it slide.
How hot is
it?
What's the metaphor?
We're like a mile from the sun. Let's put it that way.
Hotlanta is in action.
Isn't it great to go from like Hippieville to football to school? Like,
I want to say Vancouver's hippie. Oh, you mean Hornby Island?
Yeah,
we were in Hornby Island. We were rocking the tie-dye.
You were rocking the tie-dye. I forgot mine conveniently.
Check out my Instagram for my tie-dye
I was doing
posts.
power cleans in the Dungy gym there where they were off.
Dungy Gym. For those of you who live in Hornby Island, Joe King Park is a classic.
It's a dump.
You can't say that. But you have to also say how much you appreciate it. Nippy loves an old school gym.
I do, because I'm the only one willing to use it. Everyone else walks in and turns around.
The dingier, the better.
Kind of. It's like a dungeon. Because you got to really want to be in there.
Yeah. That's the
There's
grit.
No bouginess.
That's the grit of Nippy
People
Ames.
like you walk in and go, ugh. It smells. But these weights are dirty.
Sarah does mean princess in Hebrew. Anyway, it was a dreamy summer and a much needed break for us. We have recharged our batteries And the kids start school tomorrow. We are very much back in real life, back to routines, carpool, all of that.
We have some great stories, too.
We have so many good stories.
From the summer that we will be doing episodes on once we hear back from legal, and I'll just park it there.
We'll park it there. And before we get into this episode, part 2, we also just wanted to say thank you to everyone who bought the book, read the book, shared the book, posted about it, reviewed it, messaged us about it, came to our book launches, all of the book launches.
I have to say, I don't have a relationship with fans per se, and I didn't really think we had any. And I wouldn't call them fans per se, but going out there and seeing there's many people, you know who you are, who came like hours to come see us just to hear.
People got on flights.
Our book, and I got to tell you, that means the world to us. And I don't have a strong relationship with that. I do this podcast. I walk out in the world. I kind of feel like no one knows unless I have a conversation with Sarah of how long we're going to do this. And then we run into someone at the airport who says, Nippy, you specifically helped me. And I'm like, okay, we got to keep doing this. But doing these book launches and shaking people's hands has been a great experience for me because I just don't have that kind of interface. And I don't want to say validated, but like encouraged. And also have experiences that we have more work to do. So
yes. Yeah, I totally agree. And people came to Vancouver, drove up from Washington, from Seattle, down from Whistler. Somebody flew in from Fort St. John to our Banyan Books event. It was really special.
Had one canceled and we had to reschedule it. We will get into.
We're going to do a whole episode on that shit show. Needless to say, for anyone who knows the story, it has fueled us to keep doing this work, especially in regards to shining a light on extremism. And that's all we're going to say for now, just as a little teaser to get you excited.
Girl.
Meanwhile,
what about the Audible book?
Yeah, meanwhile, while that gong show was happening, the audiobook was released. What?
Yeah, can I say I'm kind of eating my words on the Audible?
What about it?
Because you were like, you need to do this over again. I'm like, it's fine. And then like people were like, yo, your Audible is really, really good. And I'm kind of like,
are you apologizing?
Kind of.
What are you saying?
Kind of. I'm sheepishly apologizing. But your perfectionism and your push to make me do it better, I'm appreciating right now.
Oh, I'm so...
All right, savor the flavor. Let's move on.
Never happens. Never happens.
It happens all the time.
I'm going to just relish
in
this.
My head, yeah.
Also, huge thanks to Will Rutherford from Citizens of Sound, who produces this podcast, but also produced the audiobook, and Peyton, you all know, if you've been paying attention to this podcast, who proofread it and made us do 300 things over again. So I hope that
yes, Peyton, thank you for that.
Yeah, it was. I know that was a labor of love for everybody. But if you want to try before you buy, you can actually hear us read the first 4 chapters for free in this feed. So just go back a few episodes and you can hear it there. What else am I missing,
babe? Can't beat free.
You really can't.
As my dad says, never give up an opportunity for free food and a chance to go to the bathroom.
Or free Audible, or the first 4 chapters of free Audible.
I'm going to add that. I'm going to let my
really
dad
good
know.
advice from your dad.
Yeah.
Anyway, now that we're back from our summer adventures, we're going to be doing more over on Patreon, more behind the scenes stuff. And don't forget, the book is also available as an ebook. So if you've read it and there's someone in your life that you think could use it or listen to it, please send it their way. And by use it, we don't necessarily mean, hey, I think you're in a cult. Here's a book.
Never works.
No, just more like, maybe don't lead with that.
Yeah.
You know.
Just be this amazing book.
This really changed my life.
Help me transcend
some things in my life, or just, you could send it anonymously to someone through Amazon with no note.
Put it in their mailbox.
Maybe we should send it to some people in jail. Just
I'm going to
leave them alone.
They don't have access to me anymore.
Or send it to someone who's questioning a group they're in, or relationship, or workplace, or a coaching program, or wellness community, or anywhere they're starting to wonder, wait, is this healthy? Is this normal? Why don't I feel like myself anymore?
Our checklist was a big hit.
Everyone loves the checklist. What did you like about it? Not you personally.
The checklist?
No, I'm asking, what did you, the listener, like about our book?
Listener.
Please do continue writing us reviews and sending us notes. It truly fuels us to keep going. But yeah, that's who we made it for, all those people. And you don't have to be in a capital C cult to recognize there's a little bit of culty in the world around you. Well, speaking of a little bit culty.
Yeah, there we go.
And not necessarily a full-on cult, that brings us back to today's conversation. Thanks for letting us riff for a minute. Back to part 2, we just wanted to take a pause and a beat with Alicia Duncan. We know this is a heavy episode. It's a lot to sit with, and we hope it's been in the best and hardest way. Just a reminder.
Doing it in person, by the way.
Oh, so great to do it in person.
She's great.
As a reminder, I mean, obviously we want you to listen to part 1, but as a reminder.
Alicia came into the studio with a story that doesn't fit neatly into the box we usually put things into. You're here a little bit culty. And this is where I think the pattern recognition is great. And this is a perfect example of it. But it absolutely lives in the same neighborhood. Coercion, control, narrative manipulation, institutional power, and what happens when people trust a system that doesn't protect them in the way that it should. So we were talking before this about what was so unique about this is that you have these institutions and you put trust into them, and when they use language to obfuscate certain things, and they hold the apparatus of holding themselves accountable, and they don't let you have access to that, what are you supposed to think? And so that was really one of the most frustrating things about that. We'll get more into it and how it ended up in part 2.
So just as a reminder, Alicia's mother, Donna, was a psychiatric nurse, someone who spent her career caring for vulnerable people, and after concussion, a long stretch of declining health and a medical system that moved slowly and left too many gaps, Donna became eligible for Canada's MAID program.
What Alicia and her sister started noticing along the way was that something about the whole process felt off. And this is where people don't have language. Not just sad, not just complicated, off, red flag off, the kind of off that makes you keep asking questions even when everyone around you is telling you the story is already over.
And that's really where part 1 lives, in the space between what people are told and what actually happened. Alicia walked us through the timeline, the concussion, the long medical runaround, the assessments, the rush, the secrecy, the way her family kept getting told, in essence, this is autonomy, so please step aside.
Which, as she points out, is a very slick way of making a family's alarm bells sound unreasonable. This is like institutional gaslighting, if you will. Her point is not everyone should agree with her, but that informed consent can exist if key information is missing. Sound familiar? If family is cut out, and if the language itself is designed to soften what's really happening. Case in point, you can't use the term assisted suicide without getting in trouble, and putting someone to death is sold as care.
Which in some cases, it sounds like it can be.
Exactly, which makes this whole thing
nuanced.
Yes, to say the least.
Not black and white.
Right.
One of the most striking things in this first part we found was how quickly the conversation gets to the heart of the issue. Once you start using words like autonomy and dignity as shields, it becomes much harder to ask questions about vulnerability, undue influence, and whether the person making the decision is actually being supported or quietly steered.
Alicia's not interested in slogans. She's interested in safeguards, and that distinction matters.
Because what she described isn't theoretical. It's a real family trying to understand how a mother they loved and a system they trusted ended up in a place that still doesn't make sense to them. We also talked about the aftermath, the police investigation, the refusal to release key assessment records, which is bananas to us, the bureaucratic wall of privacy that somehow protects everyone except the people asking very reasonably, wait, what happened here?
Alicia and her sister didn't just grieve, they went looking for answers. And part 1 shows how exhausting it is to be the person who keeps saying, no, seriously, this doesn't add up. When institutions would prefer everyone just move along and at worst, be obedient.
And again, this is where the phrase a little bit culty comes into the conversation, because we're not saying MAID is a cult, obviously. We're not saying the medical system is a cult, but when a system develops its own language and its own accepted narratives and its own way of making people feel unreasonable for challenging it, our ears perk up.
The euphemisms, the thought-terminating cliches, language, the appeal to authority, that subtle message of the experts have this handled. You don't need to keep asking questions. Sound familiar?
If you listen to this show, you know how we feel about being told to stop asking questions.
And if you haven't listened to part 1 yet, start there, because it lays the groundwork for everything that follows.
And then come back for this episode where we get into the language, the messaging, the doublespeak, the safeguards or lack thereof, and the bigger system at play.
Trust us, once you hear how this story unfolds, you'll never hear the phrase medical assistance in dying quite the same way.
As always, we're going to stay curious, keep asking the uncomfortable questions, and leave room for nuance, because something doesn't have to be a full-blown cult for some of the dynamics to feel a little bit culty.
Here's part 2 of our conversation with Alicia Duncan.
So we're talking about controlling the narrative. You know, I appreciate how much you've marked up her book. I know something that you've really noticed, and I've noticed in reading your book, is how much the language is controlled.
Yes.
And the loaded language, and like in your space, there's certain things you can and can't say. You can't say euthanasia. You can't say suicide. Tell us what you've learned. What are the rules of MAID?
Yeah. So, I mean, I can say whatever I want because I don't have a boss. So that's great for
You're
me.
an interior designer.
I'm an interior designer, you guys, and soon to be author. So add that one.
Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you. But what is really interesting, so a few years ago, the province of Alberta, like I just want to give you this example. The province of Alberta, they decided to hold a private meeting with key stakeholders on both sides of the discussion. And they would have these questions. We would have breakout groups. And at one point, I was accidentally dropped into the wrong breakout group for like 30 seconds. And a woman that I know actually had used the term assisted suicide. And immediately a member of one of these pro organizations, like one of the top members, shut down the conversation. I'm highly offended by that term.
Offended.
And offended. They were offended by the term assisted suicide. And she wasn't using it to, really to challenge the system. It's just their euthanasia and assisted suicide and assisted dying and all of these things. In Canada, there's this euphemism to use the term medical assistance in dying, or MAID. And what we know is that when you use the term suicide, polling goes down 10%.
Of course.
Just because it's optics. And so a MAID also, like the first time my sister and I heard the term MAID, we legitimately thought that it was housekeeping.
I was going to say, it's linked with like a caregiver.
A caregiver, someone who helps, someone,
comes in a little white apron and dusts and make it.
Marketing, and suicide and assisted death, whatever. That's not good marketing.
It's not good marketing, and it's bad for business, as we talked about. And so that is like one of the big things. I mean, since starting this advocacy journey, when the police investigation stopped, really became, instead of like, if we can't challenge the doctors, then we're going to challenge the system. And we have learned so much more about the system and how broken it is, going back to the special joint committee that the federal government just convened. So we're researching this expansion. My sister and I testified in 2022, and we were super naive. The police investigation had just ended. We were just starting our advocacy journey. And we truly believe, I've gone back and listened to our testimony. We came in and we're like, this is what happened to our mom, and here's some safeguards, and here's some recommendations and things that we can do to make this a safer system. And we thought people were just going to be outraged. Politicians and senators were just going to go, oh my goodness, I can't believe what's happening. Crickets. Crickets. Nothing happened. And so you jump forward 4 years and you listen to my testimony now. And that's what I pointed out. We have gone through every possible avenue. We have been, stopped at every single spot. There's no recourse for family members. And beyond that, there was something, I think, Nippy, that you said in one of your recent podcasts, and I wrote it down. It was people who understand trauma or have experienced trauma don't punch down. And when I was testifying, there was 2 senators that came gunning for me afterwards in the question period. And because I think that I am a formidable force in this, because I am shining a light on the language and the coercion and the control and all of the things that are happening within the system, they tried to say, well, what you're saying is a police, this is an issue with the police and the oversight, the assessors, they are ready to move forward for MAID with mental illness. And I'm like, this is a whole system, you guys. We're not looking at whether or not the assessors who have been trained by a pro organization are ready to move forward. Of course they're ready to move forward because they know that there's no recourse if they mess up. But meanwhile, you're now trying to make me look like I'm
shining a light on the problem, and you're making me the problem.
Which is the whole system. And so I kind of shot back at them because, it's just unreal that this was happening. And she said, I will be the one who's asking the questions, they come after you if you draw attention to the language that we're using around this, which is, they use the word autonomy all the time. This is a huge argument about autonomy, but autonomy,
buzzword.
It's a buzzword, and it doesn't happen
Inclusiveness, buzzword.
That's right. Doesn't happen in a vacuum, right? And so Autonomy assumes that you are making an informed decision. And if it's a covert contract, if you don't have all of the information, you're not agreeing to something that you didn't.
Let's unpack that a little bit more.
Oh, yes.
I think that's a really key point here. You can't have autonomy. You can't make a choice if you don't have all the information.
Yes.
So that's one of the stages of coercion where somebody's making the suggestion as it's your best option.
Yes.
For MAID if they don't have all. So and by the way, you've connected with so many people on the other side of this. Like I said earlier, like there's some cases like with my family member that was, I think,
well, then I guess
option,
who's deciding?
Right? Who's deciding what the best option is and who's providing the information and who benefits from that information being withheld. And that goes into some of the theories we talked about earlier. Quick, shameless plug for our book because there's a very exciting update. The audiobook is officially out, and it's narrated by us. So you can now read the book however you like, hardcover, ebook, or listen to us tell you the whole damn story ourselves. And if you've been listening to the podcast thinking, I know this story, what else is there to learn? We think you might be surprised because the book does something different. It pulls everything we've learned together into one place, not just what happened, but the patterns underneath it, the red flags we missed, and what we understand now, and what we hope you can take from our experiences and actually use it in your own life. And if you're more of a just give me the goods person, we've got you there too. There are simple takeaways and checklists throughout, so you can skim, highlight, dog ear, or come back to the parts that matter most. It's the story, yes, but it's also the, okay, what do we do with everything we've learned book, and how do we use this information to protect us in the future? And now you can hear it in our actual voices, which feels like the perfect way to experience it. A Little Bit Culty, Navigating Cults, Control, and Coercion is available now in hardcover, ebook, and audiobook, wherever you get your books. And if you've already picked it up, first of all, thank you. Second, if you enjoyed it, please take a minute to leave us a review. Reviews make a huge difference in helping new readers find the book. And we do read them, all of them. Then pass that hard copy along. Give it to a friend. Leave it on someone's nightstand. Maybe give it to someone who might be in a cult. You never know. And save the audiobook for your next long drive, gardening marathon, dog walk, closet purge, or whatever activity makes you think, you know what could really improve this? A few hours of cult education. However you read it or listen or pass it along, we are so grateful you're part of this conversation. Enjoy! We had a very specific home challenge this summer. We need to give it a facelift. We need to zhuzh things up a bit. There was a lot of things that were just a little old and ratty. Throw cushions on the couch that were, had straight edges and oven mitts that were probably about 10 years old. Just everything needed a little refresh. Thank goodness for Wayfair. Wayfair completely solved this problem because buying furniture can be a gamble every time. Especially online. It looks amazing in photos, but when it arrives, you're wondering if you accidentally ordered a prop from a low-budget movie set. This is why I trust Wayfair Verified. Their product specialists actually hand-vet everything with a 10-point inspection, quality of materials, how it functions, even how long assembly takes. So you know it's built to survive real life, not just a photo shoot. And the value is real too. Wayfair Rewards members get 5% back every single day, so you're saving as you go. Plus, they got options across every price point. So creating a home you love doesn't mean draining your savings account. And here's what really seals it. Over 20 million verified 5-star reviews from actual customers. Real photos, real feedback, real people who bought the thing and are telling you the truth about it. I look at the reviews every time, and it's pointed me in the right direction and strayed me away from other things, and I'm so grateful for that. So instead of guessing and hoping, you can shop with confidence. Join Wayfair Rewards today to get 5% back on every purchase and start saving on your next home upgrade. Head to wayfair.com to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair. Every style, every home.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
August always hits different. It's that weird mental space where you're not quite ready to let go of your beach stuff and summer, but autumn's already knocking, like back to school. It's, the universe's way of telling you to hit reset, start fresh. So I try to start with my closet. But here's what Quince taught me. You don't need an overstuffed closet to look put together. Literally, somebody at the folk festival here in Vancouver the other day said to me, you seem like the kind of person who's always put together. I like your whole vibe. I like your wardrobe. And I was like, thanks, it's Quince. Here's the thing. You just need 10 genuinely great pieces instead of 50 mediocre ones. Their organic cotton and Mongolian cashmere sweaters are the definition of effortless. Tailored well, built to last, and somehow appropriate whether you're in a meeting or grabbing dinner afterwards or everything in between. You don't need to do that whole costume change because it works for everything. The denim, though, is where things get very impressive. Premium stretch starting at $50. With that structured, weighted feel you'd expect from some designer label charging 3 times as much. Yes, they are genuinely as cool, affordable, and well-fitted as you see on the gram. I can attest to it. I have 2 pairs. Everything's 50 to 80% less than comparable brands. They cut out the middleman entirely, working directly with ethical factories. So you're basically funding quality instead of some brand's marketing department. Yes, that's where all the money goes with other brands. I'm super attached to my Quince ribbed tanks and totes adorbs workout gear. I have multiple maxi dresses, which I can rock out in that summer to fall era and not feel precious about them while I romp around with my boys because they're so affordable. And it's not just clothes. They bring that same elevated but affordable approach to everything else. Hotel quality bedding and bath, kitchen staples, thoughtfully designed furniture. So while your closet's getting that reset treatment, your whole house can join in too. Reset season just got a whole lot more affordable. Upgrade your everyday. Download the Quince app for app-exclusive offers or go to quince.com/culty. Get free shipping on your order and 365-day returns. Now available in Canada and the UK too. That's QUINCE.com/culty. Happy shopping.
Remember when summer meant actual freedom? No homework, no teachers, no alarm clocks, just weeks of glorious nothing stretching ahead of you. As adults, summer freedom looks a little different. But Mint Mobile's summer sale is bringing some of that magic back. Right now, all their plans are $15 a month, even unlimited. That's not a typo. That's just what happens when a wireless company decides to stop being ridiculous. Free yourself from big wireless and all their gimmicks and gotchas. High-speed data and unlimited talk and text on the nation's largest 5G network, T-Mobile's network, not some knockoff version. Bring your current phone, keep your number, pick a 3, 6, or 12-month plan, and stop overpaying. That's it. Sign up online, it takes minutes, and you get 3 months of premium wireless for $15 a month. Turns out freedom in adulthood mostly just means not getting fleeced by your phone company. Close enough to summer vacation, honestly. To get your new wireless plan for just $15 a month, go to mintmobile.com/culty. That's mintmobile.com/culty. Cut your wireless bill to $15 a month at mintmobile.com/culty. That's it. There's no catch. Upfront payment of $45 for 3 months, $90 for 6 months, or $180 for 12 months. Plan required. $15 per month equivalent. Taxes and fees extra. Initial plan term only. Greater than 50 gigabytes may slow when network is busy. Includes up to 20 gigabytes hotspot. Capable device required. Availability, speed, and coverage varies. See mintmobile.com.
Thank you for listening. Now, let's dive back into the cultiverse. What incentives, financial, institutional, cultural, ideological, might unintentionally influence MAID decisions?
I think
Power dynamics, yeah.
I think that there's been this big shift in society, and dignity, which is another buzzword in this topic, is no longer something that you innately are. You are dignified because you are a human being. Now we have these qualifications, so we decide whether or not you have dignity or you don't, and if a death is dignified or not. And, it's playing this word, against a person to make this decision about their life because they may or may not feel like a burden because they don't. I don't know if I'm making sense. Like, does that...
You're basically... let me see if I can put language to it, because I get what you're saying. It's kind of nebulous, but saying using autonomy and dignity to protect the person's what looks like free will and choice, which it can be in some situations, but then it's used to sort of blanket what might not be if someone's being coerced. Like, so you can't question it, because then you're saying the person isn't allowed to have autonomy. Like, somebody would say, well, you're wrong, Alicia, because your mom has autonomy and she has choice. And you're saying she doesn't right now because she's not well.
Yes.
Well, it's also framing the language of the argument.
Yeah.
And that's the narrative control.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, my mom felt like a burden because she couldn't financially contribute anymore because she felt like she was disabled now. And to be clear, like the UN has actually come forward and said that Track 2 MAID is discriminatory, and they have recommended to Canada that we repeal Track 2 completely, and no one is saying anything about this. It targets people with disabilities because if you are disabled, you can no longer financially contribute to our system, and therefore your life is not worthy of living. You know,
I think that's the subtext to a lot of this. So, I mean, my question kind of related to that. Is it broken or non-existent or doing what it's designed to do?
Is what?
I mean,
the system, this whole MAID thing. Like, is it doing what it's designed to do? Like trim the fat?
Mm-hmm.
Is it clumsy, incompetent? Is it existent? Does it have examples of it working efficiently? And is it working to do what it's meant to do, which is all the buzzwords, you know, the autonomy and with empathy? Or is it doing it for profit? And like, how do you know, or both? Like, I know it's a loaded question.
Yeah. What's the line in your book? History doesn't repeat itself,
it
but
rhymes.
It rhymes.
I heard that in your book too.
And, you know, I had actually never heard that quote. So I loved when I read it in your book because I said something really similar. You know, history doesn't repeat itself, but it often, you know,
sounds similar.
It sounds similar if we look close enough. And again, like, this sounds conspiratorial, but pre-Nazi Germany, euthanizing children with autism, people with mental illness, because they were deemed life not worthy of life, you know?
You can't call the compassionate Nazis.
No.
They'll come and get you. And those two senators that came out there, you're trying to shine a light on abuse of power, and you're being attacked for it.
Absolutely.
Great movie you should watch. It's called Sophie Scholl. It's about Sophie Scholl. Do you know who she was?
Is that Sophie's Choice?
No. Sophie Scholl was a 17, 18 college student during Nazi Germany. And she would release pamphlets warning them about the Nazis, and she got beheaded. And in her trial, you know, in the movie, it's like, they're just giving it to her.
Yeah.
And she looks at him, she goes, one day you're going to sit where I'm sitting.
Yeah.
And she was right.
She was right.
So if this is that clandestine, like someone's going to go, hey, train's coming. Oh, I'm the bad person for saying the train's coming and getting out of the way. Like, I guess the question for you is like, when someone does that, okay, if there's an infraction, what process do you want me to do? Like, I'm at the whim here because I see something. Now I'm getting attacked for doing it. What do I have to do? And what if I'm right? How do you fix it? And it normally takes feedback from the system and tragedies to happen for people to go, hey, this needs to be addressed. And then it seems like you did that and there isn't a due process for that.
No, there's
yet.
I mean, and there's a lot of fantastic advocacy groups that I work alongside, and I speak internationally on the subject now, you know, as other countries are looking to either legalize assisted suicide or expand their assisted dying programs. And for me, it's just so important. You have to look at what other systems are doing and what mistakes they are making.
Totally.
Because again, I'm not here to say that this is wrong
I totally agree.
in all scenarios, but we need to look at it. And you know, one of the other things, you know, if we have time to kind of get into it, is like the physiological effects of assisted dying. Like, one of the things that I cannot believe, I touched on this in the very beginning of the recording, is that I had an autopsy done on my mom for no other reason other than we just thought maybe it would give us some answers. And upon reading it initially, you know, as the lens of an interior designer, nothing really stood out for me. But years into the advocacy journey, I heard of a doctor who had done the largest research on lethal injection inmates, so people down in the US who had been euthanized. And what he found is that in 86% of these cases, the patients had experienced pulmonary edema. So that means that their lungs filled with fluid. And what he cautioned the Canadian Senate was that, like, I am not saying that this will happen for sure, but what I'm saying is that it is a possibility. And because patients are given a paralytic, we don't know for sure whether or not that patient is unconscious or whether they're conscious and just paralyzed and can't tell us that they're actually suffering in these moments. And so I've gone on a deep dive, and there is no clinical research ever done anywhere in the world on the efficacy of these drugs used at these dosages. So these are off-label drugs that are borrowed from anesthesiology, and they've 10 times the dose as a recommendation. So there's no standard protocol also, by the way. And we don't actually know what the physiological effects are. So now these big pro organizations are saying, well, that is in the US, they use different drugs, so that doesn't happen here in Canada. However, my mom's autopsy showed that she had pulmonary edema, so her lungs were heavy and filled with fluid. And through an FOI, so Freedom of Information search, I know the exact dose that the exact dosage of the drugs that were given, which is, to nobody's surprise, the exact recommended dose that we give Canadians. And so we actually do have evidence from my mom's case that these drugs can cause pulmonary edema. And again, I'm saying, let's do the research because...
Right. Hey, heads up. This might happen.
As informed consent. If you are actually suffering and you're being told that this is a peaceful death, first of all, they don't know that. They're required.
How you know that?
They're required backup kits for a reason, because this sometimes goes wrong. So you're being lied to. You're told that this is a peaceful death. It can be, but it might not be. That's my decision to make. You don't tell me that. That is not informed consent. So again, this like peaceful death, dignified death, implying that a natural death is the opposite of dignified.
Right.
The language, and back to all of this. And so what I'm just saying is like, come on, people, like what are the chances that the only police investigated MAID death in Canadian history also has an autopsy, also showing pulmonary edema? Like, what are the chances? I'm not the only one. But it is traumatic to talk about these subjects. There's a lot of families that reach out to me that don't have the capacity.
No, it takes an enormous amount of strength. And you also don't know what you're taking on. It's hard to hear, like, who's the enemy here and where are they and like, how bad is it?
Absolutely.
It's a very like scary, like, ecosystem to me.
It is a scary ecosystem. And the, advocates that are a little bit louder than me, that have bigger platforms than me, their YouTube is getting shut down. They're getting taken off of these major platforms because they are speaking out about the subject. And
I wonder if this is going to be taken down.
Let's get them on.
Tell us about some of the other people you've encountered. There were some other stories in your book that were really shocking to me. And I was wondering which stood out to you.
For me personally, the biggest impact, I shouldn't say that. All of these stories have impacted me. The one that felt so similar to my mom's story was last April, so spring of 2025, I was brought over to the UK for an organization and to talk to members of parliament as the UK is looking to expand to legalize assisted dying. I was at this event. I mean, there's a lot of political pressure, and we can get into polling, right? People think that what they're signing up for is not the same. And you have these polls saying the majority of people agree with this. You don't want to be left out of the party, to support.
It's coercion.
It's very coercive. And so I was at this event called Is Anorexia Ever Terminal? So I now know through the research that my mom had a lifelong pattern of disordered eating, and the brain injury, the concussion triggered this. My mom felt very out of control. She was controlling what she was eating. She was essentially starving herself. And there was this young woman, Ailey Musgrave, who has recovered from this eating disorder over a decade. And she was so eloquently speaking about the internal coercion, because I had never thought about mental illness as like this internal coercion, or that even there was other types of coercion, right? We think about coercion as being this like really intense process where someone's being really cruel, but most often it's very subtle. And she shared this story. The best coercion is. And she shared this story about how she harmed herself so severely so she couldn't exercise anymore, to basically stop this demon in her mind that was telling her to keep running, keep exercising, starving yourself, and this internal coercion that she was battling. And it was the first time that I really realized the internal coercion that my mom was experiencing because of the systems and our society and what we deem to be dignified as a human or not. And so for me, that had the biggest impact in my advocacy journey about really what are we fighting for? Like, what system are we fighting for? Who are we fighting for?
Who are we fighting?
Who are we fighting? Yeah. Why are we fighting? Like, this isn't a fight, they want to separate us. It's us against them. And I'm sitting somewhere in the middle going, I used to be here and now I'm here because of what I've learned. And like, why can't we explore the system? But there's absolutely no platform.
The people who have anointed themselves the moral authority through no demonstration of consistent morality, or in fact, a corrupt morality, have anointed themselves without really earning it and then being perpetrators towards other people. It's overt now.
Absolutely.
This is what I'm doing. This is what you're doing. I mean, these are the punches we can throw, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of variables, congruencies in our stories. And you've done what I think a lot of people don't do. And you've gone back and you've done some hindsight work and you've linked those things, right? Culturally, it sounds like, and how these things happen, which is ultimately, I think, the journey everyone should be on is if you find yourself in a situation like this, go put language to it.
Absolutely.
I think you've done a good job of that.
Well, it's my neurodivergency shining strong
putting
because
it to good use.
assisted dying is now my special interest. So I've got a bone in my mouth and I'm not dropping it anytime soon.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. I like
Thank
that.
you.
What do you want people to know? Like, if they read this book or just listen to this book, hopefully both, listen to the podcast and read the book. Like, what's the takeaway that you want people to keep with them?
There is a line that I have that has always stuck out with me because I really do believe that curiosity, not certainty, is how we move forward.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want anyone to come to this book. Well, I hope people come to this book, first of all, and they understand that I'm not fighting for one side or the other.
Right.
I want people to see this book as a lens, as a way to look at these systems that we trust and that we defer to, just like you guys are doing, right?
Yeah.
You guys have created this amazing book, which is an incredible tool for
We
people.
get criticized for doing it.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're shining a light and people don't like that when you fight back. And so that's my hope, is that people just come to the subject with curiosity without deciding which side you stand on, because there is no side at the end of the day. We're talking about human lives and we are talking about real dignity, which is supporting people in living, not supporting them to die because we can't afford care.
Yeah.
Mm. This episode would not be possible without the support of our sponsors. Let's hear what they have to offer.
Anyone else feel like August is the Sunday of summer? That weird limbo where you're bracing for the autumn chaos, but also refusing to admit summer's basically over. It's the perfect time to hit reset. And for me, that always starts with my closet. Quince proves you don't need a crowded closet full of options you never wear. You just need the right pieces. Their organic cotton and Mongolian cashmere sweaters are beautifully tailored, one of my personal favorite, built to last, and somehow work for morning podcast recordings straight through dinner without you having to overthink it. Boom. Their premium stretch denim starts at $50 with the fit and structure you'd expect from some designer brands charging triple. Everything's 50 to 80% less because they skip the middleman entirely. My personal favorite, other than the sweater, are the slacks. Sarah says my butt looks slamming in those. No big deal. And it's not just clothes. They've expanded into hotel quality bedding, kitchen essentials, and furniture, elevating your whole life without the luxury price tag attached. Upgrade your everyday. Download the Quince app for app-exclusive offers or go to quince.com/culty. Get free shipping on your order and a 365-day returns. Now available in Canada and the UK too. That's QUINCE.com/culty.
Now that I'm officially in the I can't leave the house without my readers stage of life, I know that I needed to replace glasses and also buy them in bulk because people my age need multiples, some in every purse, in the car, bedstand, etc. And I just didn't want to go through that whole rigmarole. But Zenni is an online eyewear shop with stylish prescription glasses, sunglasses, and customizable lenses, all starting at under $30. Pick a frame on Zenni.com, enter your prescription, customize your lenses, and it ships to your door. No store visit, no pressure, no upsell. And at that price, you stop asking, do I need new glasses? And start asking, why wouldn't I have just a few? A work pair, a fun pair, one that matches every single outfit. You don't have to justify it. You can't afford not to buy them, as my aunt used to say. Over 150,000 five-star reviews, plus a virtual try-on so you can see exactly how a frame looks before you order. I love the pair that I just got from Zenni. People stop me on the street and say, where did I get them? These are like those sort of clear plexiglass ones, like hipster vibes, but not hipster prices. You know what I mean? Such an easy process versus what I was used to. That scratched up pair has done its job, people. Upgrade today with Zenni. Go to Zenni.com/podcast and use code podcast15 for 15% off your first order, plus free shipping on all U.S. orders over $65. These styles do sell out, so don't sit on it. That's Zenni.com/podcast, promo code podcast15. Happy shopping.
The kids are heading back to school soon, and along with the school supplies panic comes my annual, how am I supposed to feed everyone healthy meals and have time for anything else spiral? It's a lot, especially with sports. This is exactly why we're so thankful Hungry Root sponsors this podcast. Hungry Root is awesome because we are able to have the best healthy snacks for our kids while we're trying to get them to practices to and fro, and sometimes get back at 9:30 at night and have to give them a quick dinner before they go to bed and get up at 6 a.m. Here's what's wild. Hungry Root gets smarter the more you use it. It learns your taste, your dietary needs, and just keeps refining what shows up in your cart, like it's slowly becoming psychic about what you and your family actually wants to eat. With over 50,000 chef-crafted recipes and 1,000 grocery items, we never get bored. Most recipes are ready in 15 minutes, which is a miracle during back-to-school chaos when everyone needs to eat immediately and simultaneously. They're serious about quality, screening out over 200 sketchy additives. No hormones or antibiotics in their meat and seafood. You know exactly what you're going to get. Honestly, the biggest gift is not having to think about food logistics on top of everything else. My brain has exactly 0 extra space during back-to-school season and this podcast, and Hungry Root just handles it like a boss. Our family's eating better without me having to become a nutrition expert overnight, which I kind of am. That's a win. And with the time we save from not having to meal plan or grocery shop every day, we can put more into this podcast. You're going to love Hungry Root as much as I do. For a limited time, get 40% off your first order, plus get a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/culty and use code CULTY. That's hungryroot.com/culty, code CULTY to get 40% off your first box and free item of your choice for life.
Did you skip over all the ads? We hope you didn't. Thank you to our sponsors, and thank you for listening. Now, let's resume our culty convo.
Spiritually or whatever, like, I just wouldn't want to do it. I think there's something like spiritually or whatever you want to call it that I just feel like I can't do that or participate in that. Did you have any of that? Like,
It's really interesting. That's
why it scares me more than anything.
Yeah, there's a prolific doctor that I talk a little bit about in the book. There was a scene that I discussed, and she has publicly said, and it's almost like in this braggadocious way where it's like, my patients are primarily atheists, and it's, we don't succumb to the weaknesses of spirituality, and that's why we're able to go into this way. From my mom, who was deeply religious, and traumatized by the Pentecostal upbringing, for her, this felt like a loophole because she strongly, morally, ethically did not believe in suicide. But because this wasn't suicide to her now, this was a medical provision, right?
That's how they took it away.
So that's how I think she was able to wrap her brain around it as well. It is really interesting. I mean, it's so hard because I remember, being in my early 20s and hearing about this young woman, Brittany Maynard, who was living in California. She was young, diagnosed with a brain tumor, and moved to Oregon to access their assisted dying laws there. And I remember thinking, like, absolutely, everyone should be able to end their life on their own terms and no one should suffer. And now being on the other end and seeing what can happen as a result of these weak laws.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I'm still very curious and always open to learning and understanding where other people are coming from.
Isn't it funny how something you used to feel so certain about can change?
Yeah.
Right? I have a similar kind of there's things I used to feel so certain about, and I go,
well, you also mature, you get more information. But
we have life experience, right? So we have a lot of overeducated, underexperienced people making decisions from a moral superior standpoint.
If you want to give the legislators some nuggets to think about, what needs to change?
I really do think that we need to consider what the UN has recommended. Is that what I didn't understand is that anyone who is approved under Track 2 is disabled, right? Like, you have a disability.
Yeah.
And so I really do think that we should repeal Track 2 because we cannot responsibly decide that people right now are choosing to end their lives because they can't get access to a wheelchair ramp for their home. And so they can no longer get into their house. And so they've been offered MAID instead. There's people that are choosing because their disability pay, they cannot afford a safe home. They're choosing to live on the streets or live on the streets with a disability, which is even more challenging, or die. Like, these are the choices that we're being given now in Canada. And of course, it's not in every scenario. I am not saying that, but I think we need to...
once exposes a flaw in the system.
Yes. Let's triage, guys. Okay. First, let's remove that one for a while so we can really dial in. And I mean, it shouldn't be in the opinion of a doctor. It should be a burden of proof. Doctors should at least have some responsibility to look into whether or not their patients have the diagnosis that they're approving them for. I mean, my mom would still be alive if that were the case. Erin Smith, that I talk about in her book, her dad was diagnosed by a doctor who he had never met in the hospital when he was there for an unrelated issue, stage 4, COPD, and died.
So what is COPD?
Oh my gosh. It's a lung condition. I can't remember the acronym.
Okay, it's fine. Yeah.
Pulmonary
Something lung.
Oh my goodness.
Pulmonary disorder.
Something.
Yeah.
Why can I? Anyway.
It's okay.
That's going to bug me.
Yeah.
But he had gone in for an unrelated issue. A doctor says that he has this terminal condition, chooses to have medical assistance in dying. The family has an autopsy, no trace of it. But it was there was no malicious intent because the doctor truly believed that this patient who actually had pneumonia had a terminal diagnosis. And so, these are the things that I think if you just had that alone, like a burden of proof for these doctors, that would have a major impact on the system.
And one thing you mentioned in your book, where it overlaps with one of our other podcasts, I don't know if you heard our podcast about Munchausen by proxy.
Oh.
You heard that?
Yes. So
no, this is so dangerous. And
it's crazy.
Yeah.
It is actually crazy. Imagine, this is something that the government is exploring, that they, in their last recommendation, like the AMAD committee that I was speaking about, the Special Joint Committee, they recommended that we consider this for mature minors with a terminal condition for now. Like they actually say in the report, like for now, that's kind of off the table because I think there's been uproar about it. But think about these poor children now who've been convinced that they have something. And now these children have medical autonomy to be making these decisions for themselves. And then they end their lives because they have these abusive parents. Like, these are the things that we need to be looking at when I say, let's look at this with curiosity. Like, what is the worst case scenario? Let's go extreme, guys. Then write the safeguards for those extreme scenarios because that's what's happening in extreme cases. It's not, is this going to be 100% safe? Because it never will. But like, how safe are we willing to make this, or unsafe are we willing to make this?
Right. So just to recap, the culty overlap is around
Coercion.
The coercion, the use of loaded language, how you can't question without being like
attacked by government agents.
And also your character gets assassinated if you you're anti this or you're not even saying, you're anti MAID. You're just
they're going to put words in her mouth.
Yeah. But that kind of dynamic is incredibly the gaslighting that must go on, using the narrative control and the us versus them, like what side are you on situation. So yeah, a lot of dynamics. And we hope that this is something that it's the same sort of dynamic I felt like when we did the AA episode. Like we had to say from the beginning.
Well, we met someone about AA and they totally agreed. AA can work.
There's a time and a place. And abuses of power exist in all organizations.
Stick to that narrative.
Yeah. It's like what you guys have said so many times about NXIVM, right? When you say this and you're like, well, that wasn't my experience. And you're like, but there can be two sides of the story, right? Just because it was good for you doesn't mean that it's good for this person. And so that is a lot of the backlash that I get, right? Well, I had this great experience and I'm like, amazing. You were talking about your mother.
Come help me make it better.
Yeah. You're talking about your mother who had terminal cancer. I'm talking about my mom who was metaphorically standing on the edge of a bridge. Yeah. Ready to jump. And you're telling me that I should say to her, your body, your choice? Absolutely not. You would go grab her and you would save your mom. We're talking about very different things.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. Yeah. They're totally different conversations.
Yeah. That's a really good soundbite. Let's use that soundbite.
Done. Clip.
Anything we missed that you want to?
I feel like we could talk forever.
No.
Yeah.
We could talk forever. No, that's good. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm really proud. I was trying to cry. Yeah. I was trying to get through it, but I'm just really proud of you. It's so important.
Thanks. Yeah.
Voice is important.
I'm really proud of you guys too, man. You guys are just killing it.
Okay. I'm sure we're going to get a lot of messages after this one. It's heavy, it's controversial, it's complicated, but we hope that it sparks some questions for you, and it certainly did for us.
Yeah, also it isn't telling people what to do, what to believe, what to say, but putting full trust into a system is dangerous, and assume that every system is going to have your best interests at heart is dangerous as well. And I'm an optimist. I believe our systems, maybe and particularly in this case, sounds like it may be working it out. But in the process of working it out, you have to have transparency. And if you're trying to protect people who made mistakes, that's only going to hurt the institutions that we've put our trust in. So it isn't saying, don't trust the institutions, don't trust these things. It's simply saying the people are the ones that have to push on these institutions and motivate them. And I asked some questions in there. Is it incompetence? Is it laziness? Is it, or is it all those things? I think this is the process of working it out. And hopefully, our podcast, our approach facilitates that. If anything in this episode hits close to home, whether it's about grief, illness, or feeling like you or someone you love is being pressured into a decision, you don't have to sit with that alone. Reach out to someone you trust or a counselor or a crisis line if things feel urgent.
I would also recommend, if you have specific things about this specific story, to reach out to Alicia directly. As you know, this particular content is not our forte.
And she's not done.
She's not done, and there's more coming, and we cannot recommend her book highly enough. It's really heartbreaking and important.
And frustrating. Like you can really feel the frustration of her process, and hopefully her story will help others not have to go through that.
Thanks, guys.
Till
Thanks
next
for being
time.
on this journey with us, and let us know what you think in the comments. Instagram, Patreon, wherever you're listening. Spotify.
However you're listening.
Bye for now.
If you're listening.
If you got this far, you're listening.
Bye.
Bye.
Sinking down to the depths of the ocean, hanging on to the weight of my love. If I let go of it all, I could leave, but I know I won't.
We hope you're enjoying A Little Bit Culty. If so, please do show us some love. Drop a rating or leave a review. Hit subscribe on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen. And subscribe to our Patreon at patreon.com/alittlebitculty.
Even better, send this episode to someone who needs it. Maybe they're in a cult. Maybe they're just a little bit susceptible. Or maybe they just love a good story. Spread the word, spread the love. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.
A Little Bit Culty is a Trace 120 production.
Executive produced by Sarah Edmondson and Anthony Nippy Ames in collaboration with producer Will Rutherford at Citizens of Sound. Our co-creator is Jess Temple Tardy.
Our production coordinator is Leslie Dinsmore.
Writing by Sandra Namoto and social media marketing by Eric Swarzinski and Brooke Keene.
Our theme song, Cultivated, is by the artists John Bryant and Nigel Aslan.
You're listening to this podcast, so I know you've got a curious mind. Here's a helpful fact you might not know yet. Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $900 on average. Pop over to Progressive.com, answer some questions, and you'll get a quick quote with discounts that are easy to come by. In fact, 99% of their auto customers earn at least one discount. Visit Progressive.com and see if you can enjoy a little cash back. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National average 12-month savings of $946 by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive between June 2024 and May 2025. Potential savings will vary.
When she said I don't dance now, I make money moves, that was a mission statement for a whole new generation.
Respect, but that's not the Mount Rushmore. Listen, cash rules everything around me. When that line dropped, it changed the whole hustle. The greatest tracks are never finished. They're just debated forever. Introducing the Sprite Living Track List. 50 tracks that shape the culture from 6 decades of hip-hop. Scan the QR code on a Sprite or Sprite Zero Sugar to see the full breakdown. Obey your thirst. Sprite.